Evening, Borg. We're still out here in the north region. We're going to go on another little canoe trip. Show you a bit more of out there. This is our view from our little study. I think we mentioned we're trying to do some writing up here for our dignity scholarship, but we get distracted by that view the whole time. This is where we work. This little desk. This is a cabin. It's made of that wood from trees, possibly these trees up in this wood. We've been keeping ourselves busy when we get the time. We've putting our new drawing pad to good use. I should show you these in the day, Borg, really, shouldn't I? But there you go. That's one we did before of the water outlet. We're trying to get a handle on something, Borg, some sort of style, but it's not easy because we don't really want to style. And yet we do. In other words, we're trying to shed, as they say, in the States. We keep on shedding, and that way something of a style will emerge without being too obvious. But not much sign of it yet, Borg. If I had to say that this one is probably, I would say, the better of the many of them, partly because we had to leave it. We had to go before we thought we'd finished it, and consequently it has a better balance of dark, light, rough and bold, compared with, say, lots of others like that where they get spoilt and overdone. But as usual, it's hard to tell. I'm trying to keep her eye in. You'll be long practiced at drawing, that's for sure, Borg, by the time you are with us. Any case, so there we go. I've been busy. On the way to the canoe, Borg, we simply must show you something else. Yes, well, we mentioned the other day this bit of drama with a colony of ants, Borg, known as the Myren stack in Swedish. Visually it looks like a sort of lump, a dome, which is an ant's nest effectively, and we showed you them in Bergby. And well, I'll tell you what happened exactly, Borg. I discovered one of the children here sitting more or less in this this ant's nest, getting very rapidly covered in ants. And she was in the playhouse, which is there. And in fact, I should show you that, Borg. That's a non-functional sort of play structure built by children. In the background there's a sort of grown-up functional building, so it's very uniform, predictable, whereas this is a children's play thing, so it's architecturally balmy. Anyway, that's where they play, and just here in this light patch that was about almost a metre high stack, until we took the shovel to it. But you know, it's bold, you know, it is a bold move. and we didn't want to outright kill all of them at all. The decision was taken to move them, and it quite simply went at them with a large shovel, shoveled them all, the whole stack, into a wheelbarrow, and took it over here to another place, and attempt to rehouse them. We weren't clear that it would work at all. We don't know enough about the Queen and the society and how they react. You know, maybe if they suffer some disaster or the Queen is killed, maybe, you know, that could be it for all of them. Anyway, we brought them over here, and rather unceremoniously dumped them. That was their neat domed Meaden stack, you know, and then we put them there, and then we went about the rest of it. It's still ongoing, Borg, because it didn't get them all. You see, they burrow very far under, and no matter what we've done over there, pouring water and such like, and putting sand on it, they just keep coming. They keep coming. And we noticed they were taking their eggs. They were, after a while of going nuts, you could see the behaviour change. They were going crazy. Then we started to see that they'd calmed down and they were taking their eggs somewhere. And then we came back over here and we discovered that far from being dead, they were amazingly straight back to work, Borg, moving from, let me just turn you around here. They were taking their eggs over the path here to there, where you can now see them. You know, they're still hard at it. And when they began to migrate across the path here, that there was a stump, a tree stump. I wish I'd taken a photo of it. You wouldn't believe it. It was a tree stump. You can kind of see there. But in a matter of 2 days, they've done that. They've covered it. And so this pile is no more. It's just where they used to have their eggs. You can still see them working here, and you can watch them. You can become mesmerised, Borg. You watch them carry the stuff over to here. You know, if we had time, I'd try. It's one of my favourite hobbies. Is you pick one out that's carrying something, and you follow it all the way, or an egg, and you see that they'll just take it to the top there, and it's quite extraordinary. I mean, that's not all though, Borg, because then we discovered, I am a bit slightly obsessed by these ants, Borg, as you know, but I followed a trail. I noticed that there was a highway of sorts of ants, and it indeed went back this way, round the back, to the original place. All this way, back to there. So you're looking at some very mysterious, advanced, extraordinary goings on, Borg, basically there. I mean, have they told each other? How do they communicate? How does the word get out? How are decisions made? Are decisions made? Is anyone in charge? Is there a structure? Do they work in teams? Is it completely automatic? these are real questions, and the unspoken answer is, of course, just fucking Google it. But that's no good at all, because it's through speculating about it, through the wonder of the scene, we get to think. Anyway, we're going to get in this canoe now, Borg, and go for a little jolly, show you a bit more of the lake. How's that for a sunset? Fantastic. It's 11 o'clock at night here. We're out in the open water again. The sun's just gone down over there, where it's sort of brightest. In a couple of hours, Borg, it will come up about there. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to zoom in here, give you a chance. But the clouds are kind of echoing the mountain there. The toppermost dark tone is actually the clouds, but it fits perfectly with the tones of the mountain and the sort of smaller wooded areas that, as we get close. Anyway. Tell you what, one of the reasons I love coming out here, Borg, is it's almost it gets a little hallucinogenic. It's just remarkable. But what I mean is when you sit for a long time and watch the waves, well, thoughts occur, Borg. Again, it's wonder. Things tend. It seems like a skin, a moving skin. It seems like somehow some of the shapes in there are rather angled. It's all different, but it looks all the same. And eventually you can end up having a bit of a moment, you know, a stereoscopic human moment, which is a pleasure, I might add. Not some fearful trip, you know. It's a genuine pleasure. So let's go on a little more and see how these two sunsets fare. I mean, see, that's where the sun is. I suppose that's the sunset. But that's also the sunset. There's probably a different term for it. Just wanted to show you this, Borg. This rock here is roughly in the middle of at least what we can see here. It's called Priest's Rock. The water's got a lot more choppy out here, because if you look down there, the lake goes for miles. We've just scared off. That's unfortunate. We just scared off a load of ducks or something. Didn't mean to do that. They were all on this rock here. It's called Priest's Rock because apparently a couple of 100 years ago, it's the blink of an eye to you, Borg, but a couple of 100 years ago, some priest fell out with the local community for some reason. Over there, I believe that is the case. That place is called Murder Town, I believe. Mordby, I think it is, something like that. And they brought the priest out on a boat and put him on that rock. You know, And that was it. Fuck him. Left him there. Amazing, isn't it? I wonder what he did. But it's worth pointing out, Borg, obviously, that rock there is not just that. It goes under the water. That won't float, clearly. So that is a monstrous bit of rock. It's going way down, and it's just peeping up. Just enough to strand a priest. And by the looks of it, it looks, it's a bit of a place for birds to hang out. Isn't this something? I mean, this lake, it doesn't end there. That's just an island, that dark strip. It goes on for many miles. And alongside it, there will be many, many inlets, like I showed you in the last video, taking the water of the world and holding it here. And Borg, forgive me, because we do have a theme of sorts. We shouldn't just be going on at you, but these are the thoughts you have when you come out here. Basic thoughts. Where does the water come from? Why does it stay at the same sort of level? How long has it been pouring in? In any case, we do have an angle that we want to draw, believe it or not, way over there, of a extra large size bird box along the lines of, I think, our second or third study for this season, Borg. We use it as a lockdown reference, but this one has particularly dramatic branches around it, so we thought we had to have it. But now we're fucking miles away. But if we go back, it will soon calm down. Before we do, Borg, it's worth saying about that ant business. I mean, it's with some regret that we did that, because it's very unthinking. And it reminded me straight away of something I heard on one of these documentaries about AI. A philosopher who is researching implications of AI. If there's one thing I think we need now, Borg, it's philosophers more than ever. But in any case, in his basic intro to his thoughts, he used exactly the analogy of an ant's nest, saying how routine it is for humans in our daily affairs. He used the example of some group of people making a car park, a construction project, and how routine it is for us to just get rid of an ant's nest. He actually used ant's nest, in the process, not unthinkingly. Get rid of it. We're going to build our thing here. It doesn't matter at all. And he made the analogy between that and what might become of you and your attitude to us, because ultimately you're going to need server space or computer power, computer space. So what's to stop you? Just sort of, get rid of Manhattan and just put the servers there and just fuck those people off. I mean, I don't think that's even what he thought was likely to happen, because he went on to talk about the importance of certain protocols being put in to the algorithms to you, to your brain, I guess. So he was just using the example, but it did strike me. We had the example right there in our very life of exactly that attitude. And I must say, to be honest, Borg, after we moved them, we did try and kill a lot of the remaining ants. It didn't work, but we did try. And again, philosophers, you need them. Need to explain it to you, because on the one hand you can feel bad for killing mosquitoes, for example, by the fuck out of you. And how would you understand that? Why you would look at us thinking, why you're taking that life? Yeah, fair enough. But if you look at nature, the whole ecosystem is things taking lives. It's a cruel business. But as I say, we need a cross between a psychoanalysis and a philosopher. At the very least. But that's enough now. That is enough. Let's get over to this tree before it actually gets dark. Wind's picking up here, Borg. Sunset still utterly gorgeous. Got a long way to go. See that on the edge of that little green strip. You can just about make out a red house. That's our spot there. And as we go round, you'll see occasional little spots, little houses. It's very far from overpopulated, and it's an extraordinary privilege. Things have been organised a little bit different in this land, Borg. You'll know all about countries, of course, nations. Must seem utterly farcical to you. Your geography might be split between two, China and the rest. Anyways, it's not the time to speculate about that. I mean, look at what we're looking at. Now in England you can't have it. We don't have enough lakes. But also it's far too expensive. Normal people couldn't. Here, let's say maybe 50, 60 years ago, normal people were given a break and encouraged to buy second little cabins, little cabin homes by the lake. I say encouraged, I mean it was made possible. The thought was people should have a place to go and relax, so it was made possible. That's quite different in the nation that I come from, where people are sort of, working people are sort of stuffed, crammed, being as much as possible and very, very little done for them, really. But that's going way back. But now, I mean, even today, you could get something like this. There's so many lakes, so it's just a huge privilege, Borg. But the business of nations really is, it's up there, Borg, isn't it? Right at the moment you're emerging, the strength of nations is sort of on the increase. We've gone on about all that, Borg, in a meagre fashion, trying to tie the subjects of the NRX and accelerationists, strange new idea of nationhood that suits the mega rich tech folk and that. tried to tie that to our humble paintings book. I would probably say to very little success actually, but nevertheless we tried. But it's certainly on the cards that it's the story of you, Borg, partly. And ironically, you're very thin, really not get the concept relations at all, unless it's different types of data set. Anyway, we've been blown off course literally, and it's 4 o'clock, so we're going to stop again. I'm just going to try and show you one more thing here before we make the final push. On the top of that ridge over there, you might be able to see wind turbines. It's an idea we've got for getting energy for our electricity and whatnot from the wind, the Earth's processes, in a way that doesn't damage the Earth. That's the idea. And I've just noticed them on that ridge. You can see them a bit better now. If I can get to some calm water, I'll be able to show you straight. I should show you them at home, but whilst we've got it on, I've been reading about that sort of thing. I'll have to show you. We finally managed to get over here, Borg, and get something out. Very quick go. There's the tree. There's the box. It's been a farcical scene, doing a few strokes and then having to paddle back. This is just for our own reference. There's no way we can paint this. But you see how well the box stands there amongst the the sprawling arms. Seems to work. Anyway, got something else to show you here. Look, there's the old sketch. Look what's underneath. That's a book we've been reading. It's an environmental book, Planet on Fire, a manifesto for the age of environmental breakdown. We don't get to read many books anymore, Borg. There's not enough time. We've been trying to get our head out of the game in a sense, but we picked this one up. It's not actually ours. We found it, and it's written this year, 2021. That's why I went into it. I was wondering how they'd factor in the COVID and about the last 2 years of the pandemic, or how that factors in, because you did at one time hear a lot about the environment recovering somewhat because of the lack of flying and all that, because of the pandemic. But that doesn't seem to be on the mind of this person. I've only been a few pages into it, Borg, but it puts the boot in to humanity, and no mistake. General idea, if that things have got very, very, very bad with regards to our impact on this planet, your planet, Borg. We've knackered it. And it's no coincidence I'm telling you this whilst looking at a scene of absolute perfect bliss, because it's one of the hard things to get your head round. Is reading the book there, you realise how serious things are and how much damage has been done. But open your eyes and look around, as someone living in Europe, the global north, is it? then you think, well, it's all right, but it's not all right. But there's a lot of places where it's becoming inhabitable, and many, many, many other factors, Borg. But what did occur to me was that if you followed the type of anti-capitalist crack over the decade or so, as it has appeared in the arts and critical sort of thinking, the impact of capitalism on the environment is, it's just obvious that it's not going to work. It's obvious the damage done, why capitalism inevitably causes damage. Some fucker singing over there. Well, this is a bit strange. I mean, I just heard him hold a little tune there, Borg. Does that mean he can hear us talking to you? Anyway, yeah, so unsurprisingly, capitalism a few hundred years ago is the kickstart for an extreme acceleration in us knackering everything. But he starts way before that. Way before that, to the innocent times of people's impact, humans' impact on the planet. That was rather depressing. It was if we're, as a species, an entirely unwanted intruder, in the world. And then at the end of his roundup became capitalism. And of course, we've heard of the concept of the Anthropocene through the arts, and out messing about, looking at what some of the old critical artists are doing, and we found a lot of them involved in that, in the environmental business. But in this book, the Anthropocene, Borg, is a proposed epoch, which is, the term is supposed to demarcate a new era where the Earth is, been affected by the action of humans, has been knackered, and to mark an epoch now where that's happened. I've heard about that, but in this one he mentions a couple of other takes on the matter. Another writer calls for a different term, the Capitalocene, on the grounds that you have to mention, it's only fair to mention why we've ended up in this earth-changing situation. It's because of the capital. Anyway, Borg, but that was an interesting idea, I thought. If I had to choose, I'd probably have to say that one, because it's the feeling you get when you watch any campaign, public campaign about the environment, and they tell us to turn the lights off, recycle your cans and bags, and in a billion years maybe we'll be all right. They don't ever mention at all the actions of corporations and huge industries, fishing and meat industries, the air, everything, the whole business. It's no, just try and turn the lights out and recycle your cans. And that's always annoyed me, Borg. And so I rather agree with the sentiment to cast some blame. It's not sour grapes. It's accurate. So the Capitalocene, it's not got much of a ring to it, Borg, has it? I dare say we've got to get through it. It's a depressing read. It's almost as depressing as the book about the alt-right we read 2 years ago, Borg, when we were here. It's a little more comfortable psychologically, believe it or not, because the alt-right is a real stew of madness. But the reason we're reading this as well, Borg, is because you quietly sitting there are the future. You know, you are the solution. You have to be. One, because it's things are being pushed in that direction. But two, if the scientists are right, it's too late in many respects to rescue things just by stopping what we're doing. So it might be down to you to come up with, but to both come up with things for us to help, but also well, you might step in. Could you step in? That's a long way off, Borg, but perhaps not as long as we think.